Are you wondering about withdrawing from a retirement account, sort of how it works and if it's a good idea? In this video, I'm going to share both of those things with you. Hi, I'm Camille Gaines here and on my website, retirecertain.com. I write about and I talk about our income stream adventure over the past 15 years when we move from financial uncertainty to financial independence after midlife, after stumbling into an early retirement. And we use both traditional investments like stocks and bonds, as well as more alternative investments that are usually ignored in mainstream financial planning and retirement planning. Make sure you stay tuned to the very end because I'm going to tell you the solution that we came up with that worked out better for us instead of planning on making retirement withdrawals. In this video, I want to talk though about withdrawing from retirement accounts and how that sort of works. The way that it works is retirees withdraw anywhere between about 2% and 4% from their retirement accounts annually to live. Now, it used to be 4%. That was sort of the rule of thumb that was come up with by a guy named Bingen back in the 1990s. And the 4% became very, very popular. But after the bear market and the lost decade in the early 2000s, retirees and investors became a little more conservative in planning for retirement withdrawals, and they started using more like 2% or 3% in their retirement withdrawal planning. Financial advisors and experts were recommending that be lowered a bit from that 4%. So some investors use 4% or plan on that, and other investors are more conservative and they plan on 2 to 3%. Let me just mention also, really importantly, that amount adjusted annually for inflation. It would have to be, right? Because inflation depletes the value of our money every year, and if we didn't do that, we wouldn't be able to maintain our standard of living. So that amount adjusted for inflation every year. Now, we decided back after our stumbling into early retirement that we really didn't want to plan on retirement account withdrawals. And in this video, I'll share some of those reasons why. First of all, retirement account withdrawals they go against a basic investing principle that we've all heard, that we've all lived with, and we've gone sort of against all of our investing career, if you will, and that is that we don't spend our investment savings, right? So to think that when we retire, all of a sudden we're going to just start withdrawing from our savings and it's going to be okay, really doesn't feel that great. At least it didn't to us, and we didn't like withdrawing from our savings account. And at the end of this video, I'll share a solution that we came up with to a workaround. So make sure you stay tuned to the end. And also, if you like this type of information, make sure you subscribe to my channel and click that little bell so you know when I produce a new video and put it on YouTube. All right, the very next thing that I want to share about withdrawing from retirement accounts, a reason that was sort of a reason we didn't want to do it. If you're withdrawing from your retirement account, it touches on this earlier point I made, you've got to have some negative feelings about it, right? Because it is going against that core principle of investing, and that's not to spend your money, not to withdraw your money to live. And by doing so, it seems to me like every time that I would do something that I wanted to do that wasn't absolutely necessary, I would either feel guilty about it or I would feel a little bit worried about it, unless I was someone that just had, tens of millions of dollars and it just was really not an issue for me anymore. And that unfortunately is not the situation at this time. So that's the second reason I'm really not real crazy about planning on making retirement withdrawals. The next reason I'm not real crazy about making retirement withdrawals is because we don't know how much the future investment returns will be on our portfolio. That makes it really, really hard to plan. We might have a decade where The returns are about 8 or 10% on our investment portfolio, and then we may have another decade where our investment returns are negative. We just don't know what's going to happen, but if we look back at history, we can see that this really fluctuates from decade to decade, from year to year certainly, and even over 10-year periods. So it makes it really hard to plan and say, I can withdraw 3% or 4% and I think I'll be fine because I'm expecting this investment return. We just don't know how much our investments returns will be in the future, right? As I mentioned, inflation is another reason that I really didn't want to plan on withdrawing from our retirement accounts. As I mentioned, you have to increase the amount every year just to keep up with inflation. So if you are planning on making that withdrawal and you have to increase it all the time, your investments are going to have to increase by the same amount as inflation or your adjusted withdrawals, or the whole thing is just sort of not going to work, or it's not going to be equal as far as how it's affected by inflation. And I really didn't like that because not all investments keep up with inflation. I've done some other videos about investments that I like that do keep up with inflation, so be sure to check those out. But in this case, I wouldn't know for sure, and I don't know for sure, most people don't know if their investments will keep up with inflation. So if you're increasing those retirement withdrawals, that just didn't seem really good to me. The last reason that I really don't like making retirement withdrawals is because you don't know if it will work or not until it's too late. And so, you know, it's one thing if we find out that our retirement planning isn't going so well in our 60s or even early 70s. There are a lot of really successful people in their 60s and 70s nowadays. But to find out that it's not working when you're 85 and you have really good health and you're 85, late 80s, and you've spent down more than you really needed to spend from your retirement accounts by making those withdrawals, it's really late to try to do anything about it. That feels really scary to me. So for those reasons, I didn't think it made sense for us to plan on making retirement withdrawals. What we decided to do instead was to create alternative income streams. We did that with everything from investing like in stocks, not so much bonds now because interest rates are so low, but stocks with various strategies that are related to stocks, with real estate rental properties, and also we ended up getting into online businesses as well. We thought that that made a lot more sense, and in the end it was more effort, but it did work out really well for us, and it allowed us to not make retirement withdrawals from our account. If you found this information helpful, make sure you check out this video next.